悪霊退散。
Arslan Ash and his teammates are heading to Japan for the Tekken World Tour Finals. It's going to be a glorious battle. But before he left, Arslan Ash gave us this character tier list in order. At the highest of highest levels, this is who Arslan, and a lot of people agree with him, this is who they feel is the strongest characters in the game. Tournament players are a different breed. They really play a different type of Tekken than us. When you compare what takes place in tournaments to what happens online, it's night and day. In online, people don't have the best punishing, the best throw breaking, the best movement. Different characters are able to shine in that environment that normally want to shine in a tournament environment. And I think there's no better way to highlight this than to take a look at the actual online data. We got to give credit to Not Quite Factual for once again bringing us this data. This says a brief look at the Tekken 8 Metagame November 2024 edition. Even though Heihachi has been out for basically 2 months, this is the first time we're going to see, one, how they're performing, two, how many people is playing Heihachi. I know just from playing the game that Heihachi is everywhere. And a lot of people say that Heihachi isn't too powerful. Like if you go back to Arslan's tier list, he has him placed in B tier. He says Zafina is stronger than Heihachi, right? Now, when I look at this, I kind of think there's a little bit of downplaying there, because if Heihachi really was this bad as everyone says he is, why would so many people be dropping Dragunov and Fang and Shahid and stuff to go play Heihachi? It doesn't make sense. Dropping the best characters in the game to play at B tier, we've never seen that before. Heihachi is the first anomaly of Tekken 8. But when you look at his data, you get a better understanding as to what is taking place, which is what we want to do here. But before we look at the data, we have to first understand how this data was gathered. And that was done in Wank Waivu Wiki. This is a website that holds all of the players' data. It has over 7,800,000 matches stored there. Beginner to yellow ranks are considered beginners. Orange through purple ranks are considered intermediate. Blue through Tekken Emperor are considered advanced players, and then Tekken God and above are considered master players. So that's the breakdown. Comment down below what type of player you are. Me, on a good day, I'm a master player. On a bad day, I'm an advanced player. Since Tekken 8 release, the most populated rank was Garyu. That is where the majority of players were stuck at. But now when you look at it, Garyu is kind of getting eclipsed by one, Mighty Roller's really close, but then two, Battle Roller is a little bit above it, but now Fujin. So many people has made their way out of red ranks, out of the purple ranks, and now they're hard stuck Fujin. And it makes sense. When I'm streaming and whatnot and people are asking for advice, I always ask people, what rank are you? What rank are you? And I hear Fujin so much. And this is why. Everyone is now in Fujin. You could credit this to maybe inflation of ranks. A lot of people like to throw that word around. I will say this: never before throughout the entirety of Tekken 7 have I ever seen Fujin be the most populated rank. Usually it's a red rank that's populated like that, or it's an orange rank. But the fact that now the players have shifted from orange to red, and now they're clogging up that purple to blue section is crazy. Everyone talks about the Tekken prowess matchmaking, and in my opinion, once you reach Fujin, I don't really think that matters anymore, because Fujin, you're at the top level. So if you're fighting Tekken Kings and Tekken Emperors on alt accounts or alt characters, that's kind of what comes with the territory when you're in the blue ranks. A lot of people, they've never been in blue ranks, so they really don't get it. But for me, someone who spent a lot of time in blue ranks in Tekken 7, yes, that's what happens. And basically, congratulations, you're playing real Tekken now. And then even when you look at the bottom side here, Tekken Emperor, Tekken God, these numbers are getting bigger and bigger. The last time we looked at this, I believe God of Destruction was like 0.30%, Supreme was like 0.50%, and then Tekken God was like 1%. But now you can see that all of these went up basically by like 30, well, except for Tekken God of Destruction, right? Now we're going to look at who is the most popular characters currently. Now, of course, Jin Kazama is holding that spot. Harada said in a recent Harada's bar that the number one most played character in the entirety of Tekken is Reina. When you take ranked, when you take player match, when you take offline, Reina's number one. She's the true number one. But when you ignore all of those other factors like offline and whatnot, Jin and King takes the top spot by a good portion. Harang has rised up so much and he's only growing. I think this is the most popular he's ever been. And then when we look at Heihachi, he's right there behind him. And this is what I mean, right? Heihachi is so popular in this game. So popular. Brian, Steve, Law, Dragunov, Yoshimitsu is kind of falling. He's kind of falling. For a character like Yoshimitsu and also Nina, these two characters are without question top 3 in the whole game. And for Nina, this is the most that she can get in terms of player numbers. Look at who she's side by side with. Deviljin, who is without a doubt like bottom 5 in the whole game. Nina is a weird case because everyone say they love her, but when you look at the usage data, it's miserable for the character. And this is Nina when she's at her best. Once Nina gets clapped up, Yoshimitsu gets clapped up in the next update, people are going to drop the character because they're not as effective. And when that happens for Nina, she will probably fall so much harder. If we look at the next chart now, this is the most popular character for master level players. That is Tekken God and above. Jin, Brian, King are the number 1 spots. And I definitely see a lot of King players, a lot of Bryans, and a lot of Jins. If I have to say who's the most effective in an online environment, King is definitely up there. He always has been. His grabs, the way that grabs was buffed in Tekken 8 makes him so much more stronger. But then all of the different power crushes he have makes him so much more effective. I think there's a difference between like being like really like a character being strong and a character being effective, and King does that excellently. When you look at this, Yoshimitsu rises up in terms of master level players. That means there's a lot of Yoshis in those high ranks. You have this other chart here. This is showing the rank percentiles, basically how far the entire player base has reached. For example, let's use red ranks. 68% of players have made it to Gari ranks. Then when you look at Fuji, you can see that 33% of players made it that far. You got to keep in mind that a lot of these players on this back end, either one, doesn't play ranked anymore, doesn't play the game anymore. Like a lot of people dropped the game. So this will look very different from the other chart that we've seen where Fujin is the biggest. We have 3 more charts. This one is the win rate with 95% confidence intervals for intermediate players. What is pretty interesting about this is then you have Deviljin, pretty high up, right? Deviljin's next to Victor, next to Lee, next to Raven. I also consider Deviljin a effective character online. I understand he's not a character you want to take to the Tekken World Tour Finals. You definitely want to take a Yoshimitsu over Deviljin, but in an online environment, a lot of the jumping and hopping and, you know, chain throwing that Deviljin does is very effective. And you can see here with the win rates that most players cannot get around it. Same thing with Victor. Even though there is a way to crouch, it's a high crouch, you scrub, I get it. Sidestep, scrub, I get it. But many players just do not have that capability, which is why it's so interesting to compare tournaments to online, because tournament players will sidestep that and will perfectly punish you for throwing it out. But in the online environment, you can also take into consideration netcode and lag and all that stuff. It's not so easy to defeat, which is why these moves can be spammed more frequently. On the low end of the chart, you see that there's characters like Dragunov, Jin, Heihachi, Harang, King, so on and so forth, Reina, Kazuya. So basically, these are the most popular characters in the entire game. And here's another chart here. This is for the advanced players. You can see the line is a little bit more flat, but it's kind of the same. But the point is that the more popular a character is, that means the more people are playing that character. What Harada said about King in particular is that that character attracts a wide range of players, from age, you know, male, female, all of that stuff. When you have so many different types of players playing one character, you will get basically results like this, where you have a lot of people playing him in top ranks, but when you look at the low ranks, he's one of the worst performing characters in the game. And I think that is an interesting duality as well. And also, this is why I try to highlight the different experiences that each rank is having, because, you know, with King dominating the top ranks players will feel one way about King, but when King being basically trash in the advanced ranks, those players will kind of form their idea as well. So it's just interesting to see how all of these different things conflict with one another simply based on the skill of the player. For Master level, you see Fang Wei is the most effective character, beating out Kuma by a little bit. Jack 8, strangely enough, is one of the worst performing characters. Yeah, all three of these are pretty different. Like, if you look for your character each time, you will see something totally different.